Interviewing Ernie Wilson about his experiences in the 39th, and the interviewer is Keith Hallett. Ernie, we believe that before you joined the 39th, you were involved in a militia.
Yes, I was in a work, but I wanted to get out and get into the army. And I couldn't get out for a while, but one night I decided that I'll go down and join at the Richmond Drill Hall. And we joined, four of us went down and joined the Victorian Scottish. That was a 3-monthly camp each year. That's all you did. I did the 3 months camp in 41, did the 3 months camp in 40, 3 months camp in 41. And then I came out about August, and that's when I got the letter to go down to the drill hall to join the 39th. We were at Mount Martha, and our job was to mine the Mornington Peninsula.
You were in the militia quite early. What were your motives in joining?
No real reason. Everybody was talking army, and I just wanted to get into it. And I don't think it was because I was sick of work, but I just thought that I'd join the Victorian Scottish and help out.
You got a letter. This is new to us. What was in that letter?
It was just, we'd come out of the 41 camp, finished about the end of August, I think, and then I got a letter to say, would I come down to the Richmond Drill Hall because we want to see if you want to join the 39th Battalion. So many battalions, every battalion in Victoria had to put someone in for the 39th Battalion to make up the 39th Battalion. All of our Scottish boys, we all volunteered. Some battalions didn't all volunteer. But we were pleased that we got into the 39th.
Can you remember the names of any of the lads who joined with you?
The lads? Yes. I went to his funeral too not long ago. He was one of them. I can't really remember.
Right. Now, you were working in a protected industry, weren't you, at the time?
Yes, yes.
What were you doing?
Well, we were making, there was only one note printing in Australia, and we had to take it out to the Tullamarine or Essendon in those days, put it on a plane and send it to Sydney, the money. We were printing all the money, because it was pound notes in those days, early days. And then printing all the stamps. I don't think they print the stamps now. And postal notes, sent to Tassie to try and win tats, you know. And then we're doing all the war things, like war savings and that, like that.
Right. What can you tell us about Darley? Had any strong memories at all about?
Yes, I can remember Darley, especially at the weekend when I'd leave the camp, go to the main road, get a car and go into town and see my girlfriend. I'd do that every weekend, it didn't matter really, and then go back to the camp, and then every other weekend my girlfriend had come up to see me. That was her photo there. And we'd go into Bacchus Marsh. She'd stay, probably stopped in a hotel at Bacchus Marsh.
Now, at Darley, you were singled out, weren't you, for a special sort of training?
Yes, I can't remember much because I was in the transport and we were kind of driving a lot, picking up blokes and everything, even when they marched through the city. The transport, we didn't go in. We took them in, but we didn't march with them.
Why did they choose you for transport?
Pardon?
Why did they choose you, apart from other men, to be in the transport division?
Yeah, well, it was only because the Victorian Scottish, they started in Don Company. I was in Don Company, and they started a transport section in each company, and learnt me to drive round the hills of Mount Martha, and that was all right. But when I went into the 39th, they put me into the transport section. I don't know why, whether they were short of men or that. I thought I'd just go into A companies. All the Victorian Scottish went into A company.
Mm-hmm.
But why I was put in the transport, I didn't know. It didn't worry me. Didn't worry me at all.
Did they teach you how to ride a motorbike?
No, they didn't. I had to learn myself. All they did, Skipper Kelly said, come outside. Sit on the seat and we'll tell you where the brake is and how to start the bike and everything, which they did, and then in 5 minutes I was away.
You had some incident with an American, didn't you, with a motorbike?
I had to go down to Rigo. We called it Rigo. They called it Kalamazoo. There were some Americans down there and some 39 fellows. I remember me saying one meeting, I was along the Kokoda Track, and someone said, I helped to build that, one of the 39s, so I had to take the Americans along, which was parallel to the Kokoda Track. And they were going to fight together at the end, help each other. But by the time the Americans got there, I think the war was over.
Okay. At the start of the war, when the men marched down the streets of Melbourne before heading for the Aquitania, did you join in on that march?
No. You've got a photo of that march in the paper, and my cousin's in there, in the front row. And I sat annoyed. My auntie took him out because he was too young, and he didn't go away with us.
Well, how did you feel about not being in that march?
I didn't mind really. You don't worry about things. You're doing other things all the time. See, headquarter company, you had A company, B company, C company, D company, E company. And then you had a headquarter company, which was the band, the Sikhs, pioneers, and the transport. So you're doing your job, all the time.
But then you went off to Sydney. Had you been to Sydney before?
Yes, we were in Sydney. My girlfriend at the time and I were in Sydney in 1939. And we liked Sydney, Bondi Beach and that was good. And then we went home, and then of course I went with the 39 to join the Aquitania.
Did she wave you off?
I don't know. No, we went by train from Bacchus Marsh, and she wasn't up there. That'd be Boxing Day, so she'd probably be home Christmas Day and Boxing Day. So we got on the train and then got to Sydney, I think Boxing Day, and I think we arrived in Port Moresby about the 4th of January. Didn't do much on the ship. I was helping in the cookhouse for a while. But it's when we got off the Aquitania, that's the big moment.
Why?
I don't think the Aquitania actually got into the pier. I think we had to get off the side onto smaller ships and get on. And then they formed us in, told us, all right, form in, and we've got to march 7 miles. 7 miles is a long way when you've been sitting on a ship for a week.
But you were in the transport division. You had a truck.
Yeah, no, we didn't have any trucks then. I don't know where our trucks were. I suppose they put them out on Moresby, but we walked all that way, 7 miles, to look after we had to mind the 7 mile drone. I said, the Air Force blokes were there, because it was their place. Where do we sleep? We didn't have anything. No tents, mosquito nets or anything. And he said, oh, just anywhere you can on the grass or anything. Only 2 things to be wary of, and that's pythons and mosquitoes. So
Now, we hear from other interviews that there were 1 or 2 mosquitoes about.
Oh yeah, I had malaria, I think, about 20 times in all that time. And one time was very crook, because my wife and I got married, went to Central Hotel Beaconsfield, and I got malaria and had to come back to Heidelberg Hospital, and then went to the Ballarat convalescent camp, and she used to come up to Ballarat to see me.
Did you know that you'd get malaria when you were first in New Guinea?
No, we didn't know anything about it.
When was your first attack?
Wasn't very early. I think it wasn't until I got into the jungle more. Might have been first attack. I don't know that it was 42. Might have been 43. My first attack, and then I used to get them regularly, but you just kept going.
What is a malarial attack like?
Well, a lot of people, when I came back to Melbourne, a lot of people said, look at him, look, getting off the train, I suppose he's going to be sick. Probably he had a lot to drink, and that's how you felt. People have been, you wouldn't have had a drink, you just had to get off the bus and sit on a seat or something and sit there. Yeah, it was a terrible feeling.
Did they give you quinine or anything like that?
Well, we didn't have it early, and I don't know what we did. I don't think we had any medical supplies.
How did you deal with the mosquitoes?
We didn't have mosquito nets or anything. They just had to bite us, and that's all. 4 of us to a tent, just a blanket each, I think, and just sleep on the ground. Sometimes you'd be sleeping on the ground and all of a sudden the water would be all over you. Mm. And I don't think we had a change of clothes. We'd get wet in the afternoon and then get just dry out with the clothes on us and start again. I don't remember having any change of clothes. I think it's just that shirt and pair of slacks or something.
Were the uniforms appropriate for the climate?
No, I don't think we didn't dress up at all and have to go on parade or anything like that.
What about pythons? Did you see them?
Oh yes, I saw a few. I wasn't really worried about snakes. The first one I saw, I walked in, I had to get my toothbrush and there was a little shack there. So I walked in to get it and this snake was going like that on the table. So I got out of there smartly. And then we had to, one time we had to cut a airstrip and one went right through my legs as I was working there. Didn't have much trouble. There wasn't many animals there at all, really. The crocodiles were, although we didn't worry about them really, we were crossing rivers all the time.
Did you go up to Efogi or up the high places on the truck?
No, no.
What about the jungle?
Oh yeah, we just had to, we had to just get through the jungle, carrying different things, and pushing them up and getting over the mounds and everything. Terrible that, really, but still you just have to do it, that's all.
Did you enjoy the jungle? Did you like the...
Oh, I didn't mind. I wasn't mad about anything, We just kept going. If you were told to do a job, you just did the job.
Now, we believe at one stage you had a day off. If you'd like to put on record why you went to jail.
Yes. I was driving into the Moresby Wharf. I had to pick something up, and when I parked the truck and I walked into, and they had all stacked everywhere. I think it was mainly because a rebel had fallen and the ships there just unloaded everything on the Moresby Wharf. And I had a look round and I thought, gee, look at all those bottles of beer. So I thought, I didn't drink, but I thought, the boys would like one of those. So I put one in my jacket and just walked across the wharf a bit, and I was picked up by the military police. They said, come on, get that bottle out of your coat and we'll put you in the Moresby Wharf, which was only kind of a room. And I was in there, I suppose, for about 24 hours. And they said, we'll have a guard of fixed bayonets and take you up and to the officer tomorrow. So I went up to the officer and then he couldn't see anything wrong with me, so he said, get back to work. Get back to work, Wilson. Don't do it again.
Right. And what was the work that you got back to? What did you do?
Driving.
Yes.
Yeah. I was driving there. Oh, it was terrible at times. I had a full truckload of petrol and driving at night round Moresby, didn't know anything where we were going. No headlights because of the bombing, and my spare driver was along the mudguard, just lying on the mudguard telling me what to do. Turn left, turn right, and we got high octane petrol in the truck, so that wasn't very good. But everything went all right. I was pleased with my performance in the war.
Did they give you Sunday off?
Sunday off? I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
No. What about church services? Did they have church services?
church services. I think they might have, but I can't remember.
There's a picture in one of your albums of that church service being led by a native minister.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes. No, I don't think that probably with the natives. Early on, we could see the families, the Papuan families, and the girls and everything. That's early days. But later on, they all disappeared. I think they must have taken them to a camp somewhere and got rid of them. We didn't see any after when the war was starting.
What were the instructions given to you, or were there any instructions as to how to interact with the indigenous people?
No, I found them all right. You know, I had about 2,000 of them and working with them, and I think they were good. I thought they did an excellent job.
Now, we believe early in the piece, when the bombings happened, you were too close to a bomb. Is that right?
Yeah, well, we got bombed on Easter Sunday, I think it was. And then in the photos you'll see us digging trenches. We didn't have any trenches or anything to dig, so we start digging the next morning after the bombing.
And where were you when the MacDougall was bombed?
Well, I would be driving just, round the place. And I think was it 4 or 5 or 6 of our boys were on it. Yes, they were working on it at the time.
How did you feel when the bombs first started falling?
You'd probably be a bit scared, but I can't remember being frightened at all. But I know the next day we had to start doing something about it and getting in a hole or something. So we start getting these shovels and picks and that and digging.
While you were there, we've seen that you've had some telegrams and letters and cartoons. What was communication like between you and your girlfriend, between you and your parents, and generally hearing about Australian news?
Yes, well, I think we got them all right, but I can't remember much about it. I don't even remember writing it, or I know I had to write my wife had a baby, so I sent a letter to, or a telegram or something to her. But I don't remember it. I remember we had a post fellow in the battalion, one that used to do, but I can't remember him coming round giving out any letters or anything. And I can't remember where we posted them, but early days at Moresby, we had the picture theatre, and we'd go to the pictures, if we wanted to. These are early days.
Can you remember some of the films?
No, I can't.
Now, you got married in 1943, didn't you?
Yes, that was I was up in the New Guinea for 20 months, and I came home and we got married. Yes.
And you were in New Guinea when you heard of your son being born?
Yes, yes. And I got home, and I think the next time I came home he was 5 months old. And we went down for a holiday at Phillip Island, and then I had to go back again.
Now, in 1943, you were still in New Guinea, weren't you?
Yes,
And you were working with ANGAO.
yes.
Could you tell us what that is?
ANGO, Australian New Guinea Administration Unit. It's all to do with the fuzzy wuzzies, and they did a good job. You know, I used to take them from Soputa down to the bottom of the Buna, pick up all the stretchers, and then bring them back and carry the stretchers to Papua airstrip, which was a long way. I just forget how far it was, but it was a long way. And then I had 20 of them with stretchers, 4 to a stretcher, and then the bombers came over. But they didn't just drop the stretchers and run. They put the stretchers on the ground, protected them a bit, and then when the bombers went, we picked them up and started walking again.
So you have a very high opinion of the...
Oh, I think they did a very good job.
Were you aware of the work that they were doing on the track itself?
Not really, not really. When we, that time we, 6 of us volunteered to go across with B Company. When they didn't send the trucks around in the small ships to Buna, they put each of the 6 of us in a camp along the Kokoda Track. They put me in, I was in the first one, the lower level, because I had a little camp there that I had to take messages coming back from the track and things like that, and used to load the horses. One Brisbane crowd had, they had horses, and I used to load them up, and they used to go to Newberry with supplies. But, they did a good job.
How many were under your command or leadership at any stage?
Well, at Soputa I had 12 overseers, and I think I'm not sure about this, but it might have been 2,000 fuzzy wuzzies. And they'd go to work each day, a truck would pick them up, or they might go down to the wharf and unload the ships or things like that. Build an airstrip, all things like that.
Well, what about language? How did you communicate with them?
Oh yes, well as I say, I am Hanawadaka. What's your village? I am Ladanadaika. What's your name? And all things like that. When we truck, take a name. Get up in the truck, you know.
Now, at some stage, I believe you saw an incident with the Americans, and there was a hanging.
Yes, I had a big camp at Oro Bay, and I was out doing something, and all of a sudden I saw 2 well-dressed Americans walking through the camp, and I thought, oh, I wonder what they're doing. So I went up to them and I said, can I help you? Oh yes, you've got a big camp here. Do you mind if we build the gallows in the camp? And I thought for a second, I thought, oh, worry, what do you have to do? We're going to hang 3 Americans. And we want to build a gallows with 13 steps up and a trapdoor. You can have a seat in the front row, which I didn't take. And one American was with a girl in Brisbane. They were walking down the lane, and I think she asked him for some money and he kicked her to death. And the reason they got him, he had paratrooper boots on, and they picked him up straight away. The other two were in Milne Bay, and they sent two girls back to the States in straitjackets, I think. They got on that some juice, they call it down there. I'll think of it in a minute.
Now, the 39th has obviously been important to you for a long time because you kept all sorts of newspaper cuttings over the years.
Ah, yes. Well, I think I remember my first meeting after the war, I think might have been in 1947. We had to go down to I think it was a factory in Chapel Street. I think it was actually run by the 39th Women's Association, and we were all there anyway. I know we had to go over to the hotel in the street to buy some beer and bring it back to the place. But that was my first, and then from there I kept on all the time until I got on the committee. But we used to meet at different places. I think my first meeting was Anzac House. I had to go on a train from Hampton and go into town and go up Collins Street on a tram, Anzac House, and then we used to go to South Melbourne near the football ground, and then Caulfield, not the Caulfield RSL, one in the Hawthorne Road. It's not there now, I don't think. We used to go there for meetings. But I was involved from probably 47 till just before my wife got sick.
Now, if you were able to talk to the next generation of kids coming up through school and tell them about your experiences in the war, what would you like them to learn about your experiences above anything else?
Well, I think the main thing with kids at the moment, I think, is doing what they're told. I mean, we just had to, if an officer said something to you, you just went and did it. And I think that's the main thing. I'd like us to start an army. I mean, the way the world is at the moment, I think we need a decent army, and I don't know whether we got one. They're advertising on the screen now about joining this or Duntroon or something. You can be an officer in no time. But, oh yes, discipline, that's the main thing.
Thank you very much for sharing everything with us.
That's all right. Hope it went all right.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
No, I think I'm all right. Yes, I think I'm very pleased. I must say I'm very pleased to have been a member of the 39th Battalion.
Well, you're a life member, aren't you? In
Life member,
recognition
yes.
of all you've done.
Yes, a life member, and I'm very pleased. Knew a lot of nice fellas in it. Unfortunately, they're all gone, all my mates. But everything was all right. And I'm pleased that that was a part of my life.
Oh, it's good.